Kyler, watch him grow up.
He's pulling down his pants. Put up your pants, my man.
Touchdown!
Is this the tackle?
Fernando Tatis Jr., a grand slam.
Iguodala.
It's funny to hear females talk about routes. Like,
Pull up your pants. Take off the bra and be a man.
Welcome to From the Backseat, hosted by Clark and Ethan.
it's funny.
Hello and welcome to From the Backseat, live from post NFL Week 1. I am joined today by my co-host.
What up, guys? This is Clark Fan. Reeling after Matthew Stafford's piss poor performance for my fantasy team. Not a great way to start off for one of my teams, Matthew. Can't believe he did this to me. Unbelievable. Cooked, bud. Cooked.
Well, so let's just hop right into it. So let's break down this Bills-Rams game and the big takeaways that came out of it. So what was your initial reaction specifically to how the Rams played?
Rams was really bad. I know it's the hot take off the press. Oh, they didn't look good. But I know the Bills and not rival, but road teams tend to travel well to Los Angeles. But you guys just won the Super Bowl. This should be a big thing coming off for you guys. And they look super, super flat. We talked about it off camera too. The Allen Robinson did not work out this first week. Only 2 targets the entire night. It looked like Cooper Kupp was the only guy that actually could get open, and that's just the way it goes. But for the Rams' perspective, offensive line did not impress. The defense looked okay at times. They were certainly put in bad spots with the turnovers. And then Matthew Stafford, not the best start. It kind of, it gave me a little shades reminder of Carson Palmer's first year after 2015. After that great season, and you're like, he's kind of older now, and then you saw like a little tick down. I hope that's not the case with Stafford. Just a little worried.
I mean,
from the Rams.
So my biggest takeaway, and I texted this into our group chat, is the Rams' offensive line without Andrew Whitworth is bad. I mean, people are saying Von Miller looks really good, which he did. I mean, that ghost move on that offensive lineman was really good, but that was basically a free rush. Everything about their offensive line's performance today was bad. There was pressure from the interior, from the trenches, from the outside, off designer looks. Everything was bad from that offensive line.
No, there was not offensive line wise. Yeah, I mean, I know losing Andrew Whitworth hurt, but it looked like an entire unit that was just lost. I mean, there was not a lot of good, if anything at all, that came out of the offensive line. And really, the thing is, too, they didn't run the ball well. They didn't do anything on the ground. And it almost looked like in the Super Bowl, the Rams couldn't run the ball in the Super Bowl either. I know the Bengals have a good front seven, and so do the Bills, but there was not a lot of going on whatsoever. And Cam Akers, not looking good, bud. That guy looks like he's stuck in mud when he's running. I think Henderson's going to take over that RB1 spot.
Well, so this is Leland said it's all right, Clark. I got 1 point out of Cam Akers and Allen Robinson. So let's talk about the 2 players. Let's start with Cam Akers. What do you make of him having like 10 snaps maybe in the game?
That doesn't bode well. I know, again, I think people were really on Cam Akers because he had, full recovery from the Achilles that he rushed back from. But, man, to me, I did not see, there wasn't a lot of opportunity there, but I didn't see any explosiveness. Like I said, he looks like he's running in mud. I think it looks like Henderson looked like the better back tonight. It seems like he'll take over that running back 1 role with relative ease here soon. I mean, Cam Akers has time, but not impressed by Akers. And I touched on it earlier, the Allen Robinson. I never really bought into the Allen Robinson hype. I think people were like, oh, well, he didn't have a good quarterback. Well, there's still good receivers who get theirs without good quarterback play. If you need an example, just look at Terry McLaurin. I mean, guys who are that good, who are that big of difference makers, which I was informed that Allen Robinson was, are able to figure out things out when they don't have a good quarterback. The excuse for Robinson tonight wasn't there. He has Stafford. So I had 2 key offensive weapon pieces that if I was a Rams fan after week 1, scratch my head a little bit where the production was coming from them.
Well, one thing I want to point out is Henderson didn't play particularly well. It's just Cam Akers just didn't do anything. No. Henderson, I get that he was running tough, but there were 0 plays where I was impressed.
No.
There was 1 play where he got a 20-yard run, and it was just an absolute open toss play to the right side.
For sure.
The Bills just didn't play it well, and he was wide open. And then when he had to make a move, he didn't make the guy miss.
Yeah.
So I wasn't particularly impressed by Henderson as it was. I just wasn't impressed by the Rams. But another point I want to move over is to the Bills. So the Bills, obviously, they're the favorites right now to win the Super Bowl across the board.
Mm-hmm.
But it's something we were talking about in the chat. Why is Josh Allen just randomly taking hits? Why is he absorbing contact for no reason after he's gotten first downs?
I think it was maybe I will chalk it up for this first week just to adrenaline. I think he was trying to do a lot tonight. I think he was trying to, maybe not prove a point, but, it was a tough way how they went out last year. He wanted to maybe give it his all this first night. I'm sure they'll sit him down and talk to him about it and make him understand, hey, man, this train doesn't go unless you're on it. Yeah. So he's got to just be more conscious with what he's doing on the field. The stiff arm was awesome. It was awesome. That was fantastic. But no reason to be taking extra hits. No reason to be putting your body out there when you are the most valuable player on that team.
I mean, I get the argument he's a tank. Just like Leland said, he's a tank. He's not scared. Cam Newton was too, and Cam Newton's career got cut short because basically the hits got absorbed into his shoulder, and then he could never play again.
Yeah.
Like Cam couldn't throw the ball anymore. Just because Josh Allen is surviving right now, that doesn't mean that this isn't his future if he continues to do this.
Exactly. I mean,
Especially, the thing that scares me the most is how much he reaches out the ball. Anytime that it's close to a first down or the end zone, he reaches out for the pylon, and eventually some defender is going to cram that hand.
Yeah, you just want to avoid stuff like that. But again, I think for me, I'm chalking it up. It's just to adrenaline week one. I haven't seen Josh takes hits, puts his body in line a lot last year and stuff. But I think they'll sit him down and talk to him about it because tonight was certainly more than I had seen in previous games.
For sure. Yeah, he was definitely absorbing contact and kind of getting into those situations. But what do you make of the Bills? Let's talk about the Bills. We talked about the Rams.
Bills all around looked great tonight. One of the interceptions that Josh Allen threw was totally not on him. That one that hit off of not Gabe Davis, but
Isaiah McKenzie.
Isaiah McKenzie, yeah, the number 3 receiver for them. Bounced off his chest right in there. That needs to be caught. Otherwise, though, Josh Allen looked as superhuman as Josh Allen is. I think offensive skill position-wise, the tandem of Diggs and Gabe Davis was great. Devin Knox at tight end looked all right. The bigger thing, though, is that if you took James Cook at running back, not going to work out. Singletary's the guy back there. I think it's week one reactionary, but putting the ball on the ground and Singletary, I always think is pretty efficient. I think he's a bad rap for what's going on with him, but I think Singletary's a good back.
Even to add on to that, I mean, people were hyped about Zach Moss too, and he put a ball on the ground as well late in the game. Mm-hmm. I mean, both of them. I mean, it's got to be Singletary from now on. I don't think these other guys have a shot. James Cook, your first professional handoff, you put it on the ground.
It's tough.
On your side of the field.
Tough. I mean, I think Cook will get his opportunities again for sure, but I think Singletary tonight, after you look at it, I'm sure the Bills will say that's their number one guy moving forward. Not as much of a question at this point until proven otherwise. Otherwise with the Bills, though, defense looked fantastic. I think they looked really strong, able to rush the passer with relative ease tonight. I don't know if it's because they're just that good or the Rams' offensive line is just that bad.
Yeah.
I know Von Miller had a great night, but I think a guy who had an underrated great night and has been an underrated player since he got drafted, Ed Oliver. I love Ed Oliver. I think he's a great player for that front seven. Secondary, I know there's some questions at corner. I still think I'll hold out, anything on that end in the secondary, but the safety tandem looks as good as ever. So yeah, if you're a Bills fan coming away from the night, you just went into the defending champions home and just embarrassed them. Got to be feeling pretty good if you're a Buffalo fan. Yeah,
I would agree. I mean, it's also big that this was a big win game, just even if you're looking forward to the playoffs of just securing this win. That's an extra win over any other team in the AFC.
Yeah.
I mean, that stuff is big. So, I mean, good for the Bills. It's a great start to the season. Blow out the Super Bowl champs. Mm-hmm. Go into their house. But if you're a Rams fan, I know it's overreaction Monday and all that kind of stuff, but you have to be worried.
Yeah. You have to be a little bit worried. I mean
we haven't even talked about Jalen Ramsey got cooked all night. He was getting absolutely pan-fried by both Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs.
Jalen Ramsey, we got cooked in the Super Bowl, and he got cooked tonight. It's been a tough last two games that we've seen Jalen Ramsey in.
he's been getting just absolutely massacred
I
by
don't know what it
good
is
receivers.
I don't. I mean, I know he's not old. He's still Jalen Ramsey.
I think it is he's become so accustomed. So this is what I think happened is so under Brandon Staley and the Rams defense, they created this star position, which Staley uses now with Derwin James, which allows Jalen Ramsey to move around. And then when Staley moved, the star position essentially moved into just being a slot corner.
Yeah.
So Jalen started to just play in the slot. And anytime he goes back onto the outside, he just gets absolutely massacred out there. You saw Stephon Diggs just take him absolutely deep, even though he was expecting safety coverage, but no part of the zone showed that that's what was going to happen.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, just thinking to this game with Diggs' 53-yard touchdown, and even just through the playoffs of last season, you had Higgins go deep on him. You had Chase go deep on him multiple times. You had Mike Evans go deep on him in a playoff game in the divisional round. Guys are getting behind him on the outside. I think teams probably will look at this and, I don't know if throw to him more often, but I think the scare there might be a little bit less luster-filled at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just wondering if maybe it's just the Rams' safeties aren't good, which
Taylor Rapp and forget who the other guy is on the inside.
I don't know. I mean, something didn't impress. But Leland is saying literally everybody but the running backs on the Bill dominated fantasy tonight, including their defense. I mean, we shouldn't base a team off their fantasy projections because that way the Bengals will probably be the best team in the league just based off fantasy points, just because they have so much talent. But I mean, yes, fantasy-wise, they did well. Stephon Diggs played really well. Gabe Davis played well. I mean, it was an all-around good night. And I think one thing I took a takeaway, and I'll say this, and this can be our last point, is I'm starting to see the cracks in the Rams' philosophy of not having any high draft picks.
Yeah.
They have so many positions on the field that aren't stars that are just trash. The whole middle of their defense is bad. Their safeties are bad. I mean, outside of their star players, there's just not that much happening.
No, I think again, we've talked about this. We've touched on it. It's an overreaction. We're just minutes really from the game being over, but there's a lot that I'm sitting here. I would have thought, it would have been closer if you were the Rams. I expected more than 10 points.
I mean, yeah, and so we got a comment. Jalen Ramsey is washed at 27.
I wouldn't go as far to say washed.
I wouldn't say as far to say washed, but I mean, it definitely opens up some question marks. One thing that I think is really bad for the Rams moving forward is all the Bills did tonight offensively was get the ball out quick, and that neutralized the pass rush. That was it.
Exactly.
It neutralized Aaron Donald. They didn't do anything special. Josh Allen, up until that Stephon Diggs throw, did not throw the ball over 20 air yards.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
It was smart, though. It was just a game plan. Go and take what they're going to give you underneath, and clearly the Rams were just very happy about it.
Yeah, I mean, that is going to be the makeup of if you want to beat them, that's how you do it. You just get the ball out quick, have an offensive line that's good enough to stop it a little bit, and then you're probably good.
Well, I mean, let's be honest at this point. I mean, I know Aaron Donald's great at the middle, and I like A. Robinson in the rush game, but outside of that, the pass rush really isn't that menacing.
I mean Leonard Floyd is a good player.
Is solid, but I'm not like – I mean, Aaron Donald's a huge piece in the center. I get that.
And they have Bobby Wagner.
I mean,
again,
Bobby Wagner, I'm not big on I was never big on Bobby Wagner as a signing in this offseason.
I'm not big on Bobby Wagner at all. I mean, he was in when I did the top 100, he was one of the ones I thought that was way overrated, and I get cooked for that. Everyone's like, "What are you talking about?" But I mean, when you watch it, he looks slow. He just doesn't look like the player he used to.
Linebacker is a position that I feel like defensive back that you age really quickly.
Yeah. I mean, so have you noticed Stafford only has eyes for Kupp? I mean, why wouldn't he? Cooper Kupp is always open. He's always making plays. I get that you feel like he over-relies, but man, is he so good.
They need someone else to step up, though, because you know what tonight reminded me of a little bit?
What's that?
When Stafford would just look to Megatron.
For sure.
There would be times where he would just get tunnel vision. And I'm not saying Stafford's doing that again, but it felt reminiscent of that.
Well, I'll also say it kind of feels like when Aaron Rodgers was with Davante Adams, especially in the playoffs, where all he'd do when you needed a play is he would try to force feed it to Davante Adams, and it didn't matter what was on. I get that point, But man, is Cooper Kupp so good.
Yeah, I mean, I think though realistically, what happened tonight is I don't know if Allen Robinson won his one-on-ones. I'm sure they had plays. I'm sure looking to him, he just didn't probably win them.
No, I mean they went to Higbee a lot. They tried to play that middle of the field. But yeah, just didn't work.
No.
Do you have any other points about the game? Any comments anyone wants us to talk about? We got a couple people in here. If you're in here, leave a comment. If not, we'll move on to our next segment. But do you have any final takeaways?
Final takeaways? Oh yeah. If anyone listened to me earlier this week, I didn't tweet it out, but I said Gabe Davis would score the first touchdown of the game. He did do that, and the betting that would have been a nice little thing. Oh, to a Drew code, I have to say. Bills have too many weapons for the Rams. Ram defensively better, but they definitely came across a buzzsaw tonight.
I mean, the Bills have good weapons.
I don't know if they have too many weapons, though.
That's the thing. They have good weapons, but it's not on the level of the Raiders or the Bengals. Like, it's not there, or the Dolphins, honestly.
No, I think there's very few teams in the NFL at this point where I sit there and I'm like, oh, well, they just have too many weapons. I think there'd probably be like 2 or 3. The Bills would not be one of them.
So to me, the Bills are like the equivalent to the Chargers. Like, you have Diggs.
Well, a little bit better, because Diggs is better than any one of the Chargers.
Yeah, but Austin Eckler is better than any running back they have.
No, it's true. I think they're probably comparable overall.
I think they're pretty comparable to how you view the Chargers' skill set. I don't think the Bills' skill set is like that great. And if this is giving them trouble, if this is too much, what are they going to do when they play the Raiders or the Bengals or the Vikings? One of these teams with at every position group, they have so much talent.
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know. I think tonight, if you were a Rams fan, I would be scared. I would be a little bit scared about what you just saw.
For sure. So we got a couple comments. We got Gabe Davis looks like a breakout, which I don't know if I'm ready to crown that. I know, obviously, he had the 4 touchdowns. He looked really good. But on that route, I mean, he was wide open. That was just a great schemed play to get him out in space.
I like Gabe Davis. I mean, I think Gabe Davis is a really nice compliment to what Stephon Diggs is. However, I will also hold out on saying he's not my breakout candidate this year. I really like Gabe Davis, but, you know.
So, we got a comment from Jeff. I knew it was a blowout, but are the Bills' turnovers concerning? They had 4 turnovers. Two came from their backup running backs.
Yeah.
Putting the ball on the ground, which I think is concerning to an extent. I mean, the Josh Allen pick where it just got stripped because Isaiah McKenzie basically dropped the ball.
That was hit in the chest and basically bounced up. I don't put that one on Allen.
I don't know if I consider that concerning. I mean, the one read by Allen was bad. I think if the Rams weren't playing so bad, the Bills probably would have lost this game if they were playing another.
Well, you don't win a lot of games with 4 turnovers.
You don't win a lot of games with they can't sustain this. I think what I'm saying. It's not concerning, but if this starts to become a trend of where they're having 2+ turnovers every game, then yes, it becomes concerning. I don't think right now it is.
I will flip it on the other side, though. It is becoming. I mean, for Stafford. I mean, he's been a guy who takes chances, but there's a lot of turnovers now. I mean, 17 interceptions last year, or he has 3 in this game. I mean,
and some of them were bad. And he had a couple that were probably still turnover-worthy plays when eventually he gets charted.
I don't know. I mean, again, I think in some ways I'll definitely still chalk it up to Stafford. I mean, it's game 1. What are you going to do? But
so we got a couple comments. So we got Von Miller was the difference maker, which I think I was a big difference maker. I don't know if he changed that much, but I mean, he was really good for them.
He was good.
And then the other one is, in my opinion, no one is beating the Bills besides Tampa.
That's not true.
Which I don't think is true, but I understand the argument. I think some of these AFC teams will challenge the Bills.
I think there's plenty of teams in the AFC that will challenge the Bills.
I think the ones off the top of my head, I think the Chargers have a legitimate chance to rival them. I think the Bengals have a legitimate chance. I think the Ravens have a legitimate chance. I think the Chiefs have a legitimate chance. And honestly, you could convince me into Denver once we start to see them playing.
Did you say the Ravens?
Yeah, I said the Ravens.
Yeah,
I said the Bengals and Ravens.
Anyone else?
Maybe the Colts.
I think like this is a part of it being week 1.
Yeah,
the Bills looked great.
They looked really good.
But the AFC is loaded. And again, I think
that's the other thing. We haven't seen these other AFC teams play.
Yeah.
Like once we get to the overreaction of Monday past this one game, I think it's going to become a lot more clear to see how big of a difference there is in the AFC right now.
Yeah, I mean, this is the last thing I'll say, like, just on it is, I mean, I picked Buffalo to win the Super Bowl. I picked them as the number one seed. However, if Buffalo loses in the playoffs to a team like we said, the Chargers, Bengals, Ravens, I will not be shocked because these are all other high-level championship caliber teams who have elite quarterbacks, if not better weapons and comparable defenses.
For sure. Man, we got so many comments. I feel like this whole show is just going to end up into us going through, but it's great. Continue to send us questions. We'll gladly keep talking about them. So McVay will adjust throughout the season to get A-Rod more involved. If McVay can keep Robert Woods relevant, A-Rod will. I don't know. I don't know because him and Robert Woods are completely different players.
They're also different ages at this point when they were together.
Robert Woods is the ultimate possession receiver that you can use on the outside, run swing passes, kind of like how they use Kupp right now is how Robert Woods was like 2 years ago.
Just less efficient.
Less efficient and not as good. But Allen Robinson can't be used that way. And the other point that I think needs to be made about Allen Robinson is I would be really concerned because this offensive line does not look good. And take this like the Chargers last year. The Chargers could not air the ball out deep last year because they couldn't protect the right side. If the Rams can't protect, then they can't go deep. And then Allen Robinson basically has no point.
Yeah. I mean, I think, again, I think things will get better. I will stay the optimist on this. I think things will get better. But from what I saw tonight, I'm sure they had more than 2 schemed plays looking for Allen Robinson, and he didn't win what was conceivably a number of one-on-one matchups with Kupp on the other side.
For sure. All right. So we got people need to start dick riding the Chargers just because they added Wash, Khalil Mack, and J.C. Jackson. Okay. J.C. Jackson is not washed. I mean, you can make whatever argument you want.
I think he's saying wash Khalil Mack. Like Khalil Mack is washed and then J.C. Jackson just because it's J.C. Jackson.
I mean, I get your argument. Again, once we see these teams play, we can start making arguments. The thing is, right now, the Chargers added these pieces and we haven't seen them play. So, and J.C. Jackson might not even play week 1. So who knows?
I mean, I don't want to. I'm someone who doesn't like to crown like the Chargers or anything like that either. But they do have a guy who's an alien at quarterback, just like Josh Allen.
Yeah.
If not, I would say. I mean, I'm probably wrong in this, and maybe the end. I like Justin Herbert better as a passer than Josh Allen. I really do.
I mean, the talent is there. I mean, Josh Allen provides a lot in his physicality.
Josh Allen does more. Josh Allen as a player is more explosive.
I will also say, I think from a processing perspective, I think Josh Allen is a little ahead of Justin Herbert. Well, but sure. That also could be that Josh Allen is now entering year. Is this 4 or 5?
Got drafted in 2018.
So this is year 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's entering year 4, whereas Herbert is entering year. No, this must be 5. Year 5 for Josh Allen.
2018 was his first year.
And then we got Leland saying, can't wait for Seahawks versus Broncos win or loss. Congratulations.
Yeah, good for you.
I'm sorry to tell you, Leland. I mean, they're definitely going to lose that game. But you never know. I mean, maybe Russ comes out and doesn't look very good. Denver looks really good. So let's talk about, we got some upsets. My 2 upsets for Sunday is Panthers over Browns. Is that even an upset?
Okay, Panthers over Browns. I don't know if it would be as much of an upset because no matter how much Cleveland Brown fans want to just tell themselves that Jacoby Brissett is actually like somewhat decent, that's just a lie. I will say this. We were supposed to talk about betting later. If you were betting on this game, Bears +7 against the 49ers is a home dog. I love that bet. Giving him a touchdown at home against a quarterback who really is unproven in a lot of ways. Chicago will be rowdy for week 1. I still think that defense will be decent.
Yeah.
+7 in that scenario. I like that.
No, that's pretty good. Down. That's a good one. I'll say my betting one. So I picked, so I went on the spread of the Chargers Raiders game. I think the Raiders being at +3.5 is a really good spread. I think that game will be decided by a field goal either way. I do not expect that game to be a blowout by either team. So 3.5 is a really healthy line, especially if you're a Raiders fan, because even if you lose by 3, you're still taking home the money. Yeah. And I don't think the Raiders are going to lose by more than 3.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think that game, not to the same extent and excitement as week 17 or whatever it was, 18 last year. I still think this will be a game that probably gets decided by 3 points. So 3.5, yeah, I would definitely take that spread if I was a Raider or just any betting gambling person in general. I would add that to the slate. Add that to the card.
Leland came in here and said, if the Bears beat the 49ers, I'll shower in milk.
Yeah, the Bears.
We're going to hold you to that.
Yeah, we will hold you to that. But the Bears won't beat the 49ers. The Bears beat the 49ers, then we immediately have to have the conversation is, okay, are the 49ers going to go back to Jimmy Garoppolo? Because I'm going to assume Trey Lance will have done something wrong.
For sure. Oh, yeah. If they're ever going back to Jimmy G, something has gone completely wrong in San Francisco.
Well, no, I'm saying no, but to me, I'm like, if the 49ers lose that game, the conversation will sprout immediately if Jimmy Garoppolo should be placed back in.
So to me, that's the issue with them keeping Jimmy G. I think that's going to lead to a lot of locker room problems of how if you're a player on that team, let's say you go 0-2 to start the season. It's probably even 0-1 if you lose to Chicago. How are you not sitting there being like, this dude took us to a Super Bowl 3 years ago. He took us to an NFC championship last year. Why is that guy not the starter?
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm going to, in our text group chat that you guys aren't in, obviously, that was my initial reaction to the restructuring of this deal is that I think if you're the 49ers, if you wanted to really prove, hey, Trey, we're full faith in you, you wouldn't have done this. You wouldn't restructure. But to me, it shows several things. First off, the 49ers aren't sold Trey Lance is going to be the right guy. Second off, I think what it builds is what Ethan talked about. It builds animosity possibly in the locker room. If the 49ers start slow, the reason it's going to be is because of the quarterback play. Everyone in that locker room will look around and say, hey, the guy sitting behind Trey took us to a Super Bowl, almost won us one, not really his own doing, but kept us in it to do it. Took us to an NFC championship game that, again, conceivably you could have won. How would you not sit there and start to question, well, maybe we should just go back to Jimmy?
I mean, yeah, it's totally true. It's going to be an interesting situation, but I want to get to one comment by Jeff, which is it's wild how Herbert is considered a superstar in year 2, now year 3, without going to the playoffs. Meanwhile, Lamar and Kyler still need to prove themselves. I don't think Lamar has nothing to prove. Okay, so this is a perfect segue into what I want to talk about, which is NFL awards. So I think we should segue into NFL awards because of this Lamar Jackson point. So I'm going to throw up our banner, NFL award winners. And the reason I say this is because I'm picking Lamar Jackson as my MVP this year. I think Lamar is going to win the MVP. I think he has it all stacked up for him. While the weapons on the outside aren't fantastic, he's going to get a lot of rushing yards. He's going to get a lot of attempts. He's going to do really well, in my opinion.
No, I really like that. I had 3 guys I put down that I was mulling over in my head. My guy that I picked, and it's because I believe he's going to win the West. He's going to ascend. I have Justin Herbert winning the MVP this year, coming from the Los Angeles Chargers. I think he's almost exactly what every team. There's not a single team in the NFL that wouldn't like. I mean, obviously, there's a couple that would take their quarterback situation over Justin Herbert, but I think his explosiveness, if he just is willing to take more shots downfield this season, the offense opens up for him a little bit more. I like where Herbert's at. I love everything of his makeup. I've loved it since he come out of Oregon. Again, if they just let him expand, if he takes more chances, he gets just a touch more of that gunslinger in him, you're going to see rocket ship numbers because that arm can carry you anywhere you want it to. You just got to let it go sometimes.
Plus, the offensive line has improved.
No, that's the thing. That's like the one thing for Herbert that I mean, my quarterback's Burrow. I love him. I almost wanted to put him here too myself. He's probably like my 4th or 5th guy. But I wish Herbert had a little bit more of Burrow's throwing mentality where it's just like, let's just see what happens every once in a while. Just go deep to try it.
Well, the issue is, and this is Herbert's biggest drawback. So for anyone that's a Herbert denier, this should become your talking point. Herbert can't read cover 2 right now.
Yeah, he can't.
I mean, we'll see when the season starts.
How it's changed,
but when there's a too high safety look, Herbert will not try to split safeties. He will not attack the middle of the field, especially in the deep intermediate parts. He will stick to the boundaries, which are some crazy throws. I'm not going to deny that. But he cannot read. If there is a post route over the middle, he will not throw it.
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if there's a 2 high safety look. He is not going to try to do a cover 2 beater.
Yeah.
He does not attack cover 2.
If you just ever need to look at it, I mean, just watch the Denver games, I think, truthfully.
For sure. Watch any game with a Vic Fangio-led defense.
Yeah.
Which is crazy that he can't do it because Brandon Staley runs the Vic Fangio defense.
Yeah.
He sees it in practice every day, and he will not attack it.
Interesting. But it's, I mean, maybe, who knows? Year 3 maybe he goes after a little bit more. I hope so, at least.
So we got Lamar has an average offensive line and a Walmart cashier as his receivers besides Andrews. No way he wins MVP, in my opinion.
What happened 2 years ago?
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing. Nothing.
It's really 3 years ago now because it would be the third season.
But I mean, what Lamar's ability? I mean, obviously, it extends further than just ability to throw the ball. I think he doesn't get enough credit for how good of a passer he is.
Agreed.
Think about it. The Ravens, for how much they were banged up last year, he kept them in before he got hurt himself in just about every single game possible.
They were 8-2.
I know. He's a G.
Lamar
does not get enough credit for what he does. I don't care that he has Walmart cashier receivers. I still think Rashad Bateman will step up this year. I certainly hope so. Mark Andrews is a great tight end. It's not a lot to work with, but Lamar wins the MVP. I think what Ethan's saying is because he not only is explosive, but he makes up for the parts around him in every sense of the way.
Well, and the other thing is, as crazy as this is how voters vote. They look for those players who make highlight plays, and Lamar makes them every single week.
All the time.
Watching Lamar is so much fun for any NFL fan. He is so entertaining.
Yeah, he's going to look great in a Dolphins uniform next year, by the way.
So we got an underrated dark horse MVP, which is Derek Carr with a true X like Adams. I've heard this one. I don't think it's going to happen. I just don't think he's going to get the kind of numbers to beat out these other AFC teams, but I totally understand the thinking.
I understand the thinking. I like Carr. I think he's like my 11-12 guy at the quarterback we talked about. I think his numbers will certainly be better from what they were a year ago, adding in Devontae Adams. I think that connection that they have at Fresno State translating the NFL is very real. I think it's something that the chemistry still will certainly be there. However, I don't know if I will go with MVP after, again, I think Derek Carr is great, but the hype he's gotten after what was a 26 touchdown to 14 interception year last season.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing him move to
an MVP. He had 4,800 yards. So, I mean, he's still.
Yeah, it was nice. I know.
But the other thing about Carr is no one brings up that Raiders offensive line is so
terrible.
bad.
Terrible.
It is so bad.
Is it the worst in the league?
It's up there.
Steelers are the worst in the league.
Raiders fans kept talking about how Donald Parham was saving them, and he didn't even win a job. If that tells you about the state of the offensive line.
Yeah, I tend to think that. No, I'm not going to say that. The Raiders will be a good team, but I don't.
They're going to be a good team. They're going to be a good team. They're going to contend. I mean, again, I'm saying with the Chargers, it's going to be a close game. It would not surprise me if the Raiders come out winning.
Yeah,
but that offensive line is not good enough to sustain it because they're going to have to play a lot of quick passing due to that. And I don't think their running game is that evolved. No. So they're going to have to rely on the quick passing game, which I don't think will play to the skill set.
Yeah, I mean, Carr could have the opportunity to put up huge numbers too because I think there are going to be a lot of shootouts because I think the secondary is terrible for the Raiders. So
before we move on to Offensive Player of the Year, we got a question earlier that I wanted to make sure we came back on, which is what are your honest thoughts on the Saints? So let's start with you, Clark, because I know what your thoughts are.
Oh, I like the Saints. I think there's a lot to like about the Saints. I think this is a team that I picked to be a playoff contender. I think people forget that Jameis was having a really strong season before he ended up going out with an injury last year. I think Michael Thomas coming back will be a big thing. I think it strengthens the wide receiver group, obviously. I'm a little bit surprised Chris Olave was listed as the number 5 wide receiver on the depth chart. A little bit disappointed in that because I certainly was hoping he'd get a little bit more involved. I think that would have helped the Saints offense. But obviously, if they don't feel that way, that's fine. The biggest thing I always feel like it's an underrated thing with the defense the last few years is just how good the defense is for the Saints. That's a really strong unit. So even if the offense is just okay, I think he'll stay in a lot of games. My biggest question is just going to be the head coaching spot. If I'm not mistaken, it's what, Dennis Allen?
Dennis Allen.
Yeah, so Dennis Allen, last time I saw him was a Raiders head coach, didn't go very well. Obviously, he seemed to have learned a lot of things. He's been under Sean Payton, right? He was under Sean. He was an internal hire, right?
Yeah, he was the defensive coordinator.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot that I like about the Saints. I think they're probably a 9-win team. I think in the NFC, that's good enough to squeak you out a playoff spot. What they do beyond that, I don't know. Also, a lot of it just hinges on what Jameis shows this year.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think I would not be surprised if they sneak into the playoffs. I don't think they'll make a lot of noise. I think the people that are trying to say that they're going to beat out Tampa are insane.
Yeah, that's
Even if that happens, I guess good for prediction wise, but come on, you have to be honest sometimes. Tampa is the favorite, and there's no way you can tell me otherwise.
No, I don't see any scenario of which you don't see Tampa as the favorite. I mean,
but I think the Saints are probably a fringe playoff team. I think they'll win 9 to 10 games. They also get a benefit from playing the Panthers and Falcons 4 of their games.
Mm-hmm.
So that really helps them. Yeah, that's my thoughts. But let's get into our other awards. So who do you got for Offensive Player of the Year? I went MVP first. So who do you have for Offensive Player?
Yeah, so my Offensive Player of the Year, I was torn. I was torn between 2 LSU guys.
Oh.
I went ahead. I'm going to say the Offensive Player of the Year is going to be Justin Jefferson.
Okay.
I think it's a little bit different than what most people will go at, but I think the Vikings are primed to have a really big year. If you think Jefferson was really good in year 1 and year 2, I expect it to be even more explosive in year 3 with an offensive-minded head coach. I think Kirk will be more comfortable with in Minnesota. I think he's going to have a huge season. So I have Justin Jefferson as my Offensive Player of the Year.
That's a good pick. So I went a completely different route, and I picked Deebo Samuel. I think Deebo is going to continue to build off of his campaign last year. I think with Trey Lance, with them relying on such a young player so early, I think they're just going to kind of force feed him the ball, especially out of the backfield. Yeah. There's a reason they put into his contract that he's going to get a lot of rushing attempts.
Mm-hmm.
I think
want to use him.
I think he's going to get a ton of usage this year. I think he's going to rack up yards, rack up touchdowns. So for me, he's my Offensive Player of the Year. And I think voters are going to look at the rushing numbers versus the receiving numbers and kind of use that as a reason to vote for him.
I totally agree. I think it's a great reasoning. So I definitely see it.
All right, who's your Defensive Player of the Year?
Oh, there's a couple names I jumbled around with this one. This was
the hardest one for me.
This is definitely a tough one. I'm going to go with a guy who I think is actually the best pass rusher in the AFC North. I'm going to say it's going to be Myles Garrett. I have Myles Garrett winning Defensive Player of the Year. I know TJ Watt, great year last season. I still think Myles Garrett was better last year. I still really do. I think Myles Garrett wins Defensive Player of the Year. I was between him, Micah Parsons, and Aaron Donald. Those are my 3 guys I was between. I feel like Garrett's going to have a great season for the Browns. Will the Browns be particularly good? No, but I think Garrett will be great.
So for me, I went with a pass rusher as well, but I went with Micah Parsons.
All right.
I think Micah Parsons is going to win Defensive Player of the Year. He has all the hype going into the season. He plays on the Dallas Cowboys, which is going to play well with voters. Plus, he's an absolute menace. In his rookie year, he wasn't even supposed to be a stand-up edge rusher, converted in the second game, and had double-digit sacks easily. He is so talented. He is so good. People underrate how good DeMarcus Lawrence is on the other side to help him out. That's a good pass rushing duo that no one talks about. But for me, it's going to be Micah Parsons. I think people are going to fall in love with the versatility, with the sack numbers, with the tackle numbers. I just think he can do it all.
I totally agree. I like it. I mean, I like the pick. Again, it was one of the guys that I mulled through possibly going with. I think Parsons might be the most explosive pass rusher. I think when you see him come off the ball, it's just insane. I mean,
what's crazy is how explosive he is, and he's not refined at all.
No.
What happens when he adds pass rushing moves?
Yeah, exactly.
He's going to be crazy.
He'll be insane. Dallas will still be like mediocre, but he'll be insane.
All right, so let's move on to Offensive Rookie of the Year, which you've already said.
Yeah.
So you want to just say it again, who it is?
No, you go ahead first.
Well, so mine's Kenny Pickett. So mine's not that interesting. I just went with the quarterback because it's easy. And then yours is Garrett Wilson, right?
Yeah, I have Garrett Wilson as mine. I made that a while back. I would probably refine it now if I could. But we'll stick with Garrett Wilson. I mean, I do like Garrett Wilson. I think it's going to hurt that Joe Flacco is going to start the season now. That really hurts it. I was banking on Zach Wilson.
That's a shot in the foot.
Yeah, I actually think the Offensive Rookie of the Year, I mean, just looking at the odds right now, this is probably one of the more underwhelming ones on paper that I've seen in a while. There wasn't truthfully anyone that really jumped. I mean, Drake London at plus 800, but he's got a terrible quarterback throwing him the football. Chris Olave plus 800, he's a wide receiver 5.
The underrated one, which I almost thought about going with.
Before you say it, can I say who I think you're going to say?
Sure.
Sky Moore.
That's exactly who I was thinking. I almost went with Sky Moore.
Sky Moore's enticing.
He's enticing. I mean, his odds are really low. He plays with Mahomes. They don't have a clear number one. I think he's going to make waves early.
I think another guy who I actually also really liked was Romeo Doubs in Green Bay.
Yeah, I got Cole to pick him up on one of our fantasy teams.
There you go.
He had no idea who he was.
Well, Romeo Doubs, take a look out for him. But yeah, Sky Moore is a guy I definitely think is certainly enticing if you're looking to bet on it. Still place a futures bet down. Again, like you said, there's no established number one in Kansas City. I mean, obviously they have a number one arching overall and Travis Kelce, but a wide receiver, you're still looking for a guy. Sky Moore certainly has the opportunity to do so.
For sure. All right, so let's move on to Defensive Rookie of the Year. This is a player I've mentioned before who I think might win. This is why I didn't go with Sky Moore, because I went with a more safe option, because this one is really out there.
Gotcha.
But I'll let you go. Okay.
No, you go first. You go first.
All right. So I picked Daxton Hill.
I think Dax Hill.
I picked Daxton Hill out of Cincinnati. I think playing in that Cincinnati defense, I think he's going to be able to move around a lot. I think he's going to get the tackle numbers because he's going to play up at the line of scrimmage. He's also going to play out. He's going to be able to play all over the field. He's going to be a nice versatile piece on an already established defense. I think he's going to be able to make an immediate impact. The one thing I worry about is they already have 2 established safeties. So I'm not sure if he's going to get the kind of numbers I think, but I think he's going to earn a role on the team. Just when I look at it, Thibodeau is hurt now, who would have been my pick. Aiden Hutchinson, Detroit doesn't get love. So we'll see. I'm just trying to think of from a voter's perspective of what narratives they love. So I'm going to bet it on Daxton Hill.
I'll be honest. I really like that. I think Daxton Hill is going to get a lot more playing time than people realize. Lou Anarumo has already alluded to that they will have him on the field quite a bit. I think he'll kind of play not some sort of like an amoeba type, but he'll be all over the field in different spots, whether it be in the slot, an extra guy coming down in the secondary. He'll be on the field a lot. I like that pick. The guy that I went with, I was torn between 2 corners. Ahmad Sauce Gardner or Derek Stingley Jr. I ended up going, I don't know why I said Derek. Yeah, Derek Stingley. Derek Stingley is who I'm going to go with. Derek Stingley Jr. is my pick. He looks like a lockdown guy. He locked down Jamar Chase at LSU. I know he sat out a year, but I like Stingley a ton. I think although he plays for the Texans and the Texans probably won't be particularly good, I still like what I see out of him. I like a lot what he's capable of. I think Stingley will be the guy who takes home the Defensive Rookie of the Year award.
Yeah, so we got Jeff. So as a Saints fan, I wanted Jaquan Brisker so badly. He went 1 pick before us. I feel like he's a sleeper for Defensive Player of the Year. There's a ton of guys that could win Rookie of the Year.
There is a ton. I mean, the Rookie of the Year on either side is all over the place.
He also said Pickens. Yeah, Pickens could definitely win. He has all the hype. I worry about that the target share is going to be kind of tough.
Yeah.
Plus, who's throwing him the ball? So I don't know if he's going to be able to reach the numbers of a Jamar Chase or a Justin Jefferson to actually crave the award. That's what I kind of worry about, especially over his quarter. It would be hard to give it to him over his quarterback if Kenny Pickett is playing significant snaps.
Yeah, I mean, Trubisky's a starter right now. One guy that I'm really surprised about, this is not to do with picks, but Kyle Hamilton's not the starting safety in Baltimore.
Yeah, we'll see once the games actually start, though, because a lot of these depth charts, they always put rookies down lower, and then when the games actually...
Did you see his missed tackle rate in the preseason?
Yeah, no, it wasn't good, but...
He looks slow, too.
We'll see. I don't
know. I love Kyle Hamilton coming out, but there's a lot that was questionable. I know it's preseason, but there was like, felt like kind of under the radar.
Let's go comeback player of the year. Who do you think wins it? Let's just do this one as kind of, we don't need to talk about it that much because this is another one that has
You go first with comeback player of the year.
I did Michael Thomas. I feel like Michael Thomas is going to get the target share.
Yeah,
I think the Saints are going to be good.
I actually went along the same lines, but on just a different position on the same. I went with Jameis Winston. I think Jameis Winston is going to get comeback player of the year. I think he makes the playoffs. I think a lot of people look at what he does. I would say Jameis is the guy that gets comeback player of the year.
Yeah, that one totally makes sense. Who you got coach of the year?
Coach of the year is a tough one. It's coach of the year always goes to a team that I feel like either just excels really high. I'm going to go, though, with the team that played tonight. I think McDermott is going to win it.
Okay.
For the Bills. I think that team's really, really good. People are going to look to him as like he was a big part of that. I think he gets it.
So I went with another AFC team. I picked Brandon Staley.
All right.
Brandon Staley, number 2. I think they're going to win a lot of games, especially if they win the AFC West. I think teams are going to be, or I think the league's going to be looking to crown him. The league is super divided on him as it is, but if they win a lot of games, I think that's going to go the side of the wayside. So I picked Brandon Staley. He's the favorite according to Vegas. I don't know how much I buy that, but that's what it is right now.
So let me just ask you this again. I think I've asked you this before. If the Chargers miss the playoffs, say they do in some scenario, is he fired?
Depends on how bad they miss the playoffs.
9-8.
Because let's say if they're a scenario, if they're at 10-7 and the AFC West takes 3 playoff spots and we lose a heartbreaker at the end, I don't think you move on at 10-7.
What about 9-8?
9-8, I think you think about it, but it's hard to move on from a below 40 coach who's had 2 winning seasons.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because he had 2 winning seasons. I guess you look at the talent and you say it should be better.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if you move on from a dude who hasn't had a losing season. I think that's a little too ahead of.
Yeah,
I think that's a
little
little
jump the gun on that and say maybe, but I don't think you would either. If they had a losing season, it would be a different discussion. Maybe.
I think it would. I think you'd think about it, but I also it would be really tough because you'd have to fire Telesco too. You basically have to fire everyone at that point.
Yeah,
you don't let Telesco pick a 4th GM or 4th head coach.
Yeah, probably. That's a good point.
All right, so we got about 15 more minutes left. So what I'm gonna do is let's get through these start bench cuts. Let's get through these she's a 10s. Let's get through these quickly, and then let's do predictions to end the show.
Which predictions are we doing?
Or not predictions. Let's just do our favorite matchups.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Sounds good?
Sounds good.
All right. So if you haven't watched the show before, we're doing She's a 10. And today's She's the 10 is she's a 10, but she wore a Henry Ruggs jersey on your first date.
All right. That's no good. That's really bad. Henry Ruggs did a terrible, terrible thing. Although I don't think he's a pretty bad guy for what he did. That's like a 6. I would be like, what are you doing? That's like not even funny or ironic. That's just dumb and weird. So I would say like 5 or 6. That's just no.
All right. She's a 10, but she quotes Tony La Russa religiously.
She quotes Tony La Russa? Ew, like 2. That's no. Tony La Russa needs to be fired. That dude can barely stay awake during a baseball game for the White Sox at this point. The dude's been arrested for a DUI, and when pulled over, he said, "Oh, I'm a Hall of Fame brother." Like, shut up, dude. That's not going to get you out of the DUI, you bum. So, no. Quoting Tony La Russa, give me a break. Pick someone better to quote.
All right, next one. She's a 10, but she won't leave the tailgate when the game starts.
Oh, how expensive are our tickets?
Over $100.
Nah. She won't leave the tailgate when the game starts. Is everyone else leaving?
Yeah, everyone else is leaving.
Okay, well, that's just stupid. She just wants to sit out and watch the embers in the grill that no one's using.
Well, maybe like a couple of her friends are hanging out.
A couple of her friends are still hanging out. Well,
but they're not your friends.
They're not my friends. Oh, God. So now I've paid $100 for each ticket. She won't come into the game. She wants to stay with her friends. Well, I'm going to the game regardless. She can stay with her friends. It can be a 9 still.
Okay.
We can have an argument afterwards.
All right. So let's get into start bench cut. Start bench cut. And we're doing bad ref calls edition.
Oh.
So the PI in the Saints-Rams AFC or NFC championship game, the Dez Bryant no catch rule on 4th down, or the tuck rule.
So for like worst call is the one I'm
worst
starting.
Call. Which one's the worst call? Which one would
worst
you start
call
with?
The pass interference in the Saints and Rams game. That was so blatantly obvious. How that was like not called is just unbelievable to me. So that always fixates in my mind. I know it's more recently. I would say that. Bench. I'll bench the tuck rule. I think that was a pretty defining moment. Everyone seems to like to bring that up quite a bit. I think I'll bench the tuck rule. And then what was the third one again? Why am I blanking on the third one?
It was the Dez 4th down catch where Tony Romo throws it over.
Screw the Cowboys. I'm glad that didn't go their way. That's the cut. Who cares?
Okay. All right.
I'm still convinced, I'll tell you this. On that game, I think the Packers would have figured out a way to win that game probably either way. I don't care. Wouldn't
All
change
right.
it much.
Start bench cut. The Guardians, the Twins, or the White Sox?
The Guardians, the Twins, or the White Sox? Starting the Guardians. I've been on the Guardians train a long time. We have this on record when I called them sneaky, and they fulfilled my prophecy. I will start the Cleveland Guardians. What they do in the playoffs, I don't know. Probably just maybe a little bit. I will go ahead and bench the Minnesota Twins. I think the Twins are just mid. They're just like not very. They're just fine. And I'll cut the White Sox. So the White Sox are wildly disappointing. I mean, just a complete embarrassment for what the season's been. La Russa needs to go. Yeah, the fans know it. La Russa sucks. That team's wildly underperformed for the talent that they have.
For sure. All right. So those are all my start bench cuts. So
Lovely.
let's get into our favorite matchups of week 1. What we're looking forward to, our week 1 preview. Clark, what is one matchup that you're either excited for or that you like?
Well, I know I won't take the one that you, but the one that I'm really looking forward to, I think is kind of an underrated game, is the Chiefs and Cardinals. Okay. I'm interested to see that. I'll be interested to see what Kansas City looks like without Tyreek Hill. I'll be interested to see how they're coming back after losing the AFC Championship game. On the flip side, I'm interested to see what Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury do in week 1. No D-Hop. A lot of questions around that team right now. Hopefully he's not playing Call of Duty pregame. Just got to pray on that. But I think it's probably the game that intrigues me the most. I mean, there's a lot of good games on the slate. Obviously, Raiders and Chargers is a really good one. Packers and Vikings I also really like. I'm surprised Minnesota's a home dog in that game. That'd be another enticing bet to look at, folks. Same with Cardinals Cardinals are +6 at home against the Chiefs. So I think Cardinals and Chiefs, that's the game I'm really looking to most. I think it'll be a fun watch. Could be some offensive fireworks. I think you'll learn a lot about what those teams are like in week 1.
That's a good one. So I went with an under the radar one, which I'm actually kind of excited about. And no one's talking about this game. My matchup is Eagles versus the Lions.
I knew you were going to say that. I'm
interested. I want to see what this new Eagles team looks like with AJ Brown, all of these other pieces. See Jalen Hurts. What's his step in year 3? Plus, then you can see the Lions. What are the Lions going to look like under Dan Campbell? They've added so much talent. They have all this hype kind of building into the state. What are they going to look like? They're at home. They're the Motor City Kitties. It's their first sellout in 3 years.
Yep.
So the hype is building in Detroit. I want to see versus a really good Eagles team coming in. I want to see what they look like. I want to see what these two teams that I've crowned both. I crowned the Eagles as dark horse Super Bowl contenders. Then I crowned the Lions as dark horse playoff contenders. I want to see what these teams actually look like in practice after I've just put crowns on a bunch of off-season moves.
Yeah, I think for both, you'll learn a lot right away. If the Lions win this game, Philly fans are going to lose it. They're going to lose it. They're going to lose it on Jalen Hurts. They'll completely freak out.
They're going to start calling for Jimmy G.
I know. Well, that's the thing is, too, is that I really still like, okay, even if the Lions lose this game, I mean, obviously they want to keep it close, but it wouldn't be like any sweat off their shoulders. If they keep it close, they'll be fine. But no one expects them to win this. But yeah, I won't be shocked at all if the Lions come out and win that game. I think the Lions are more than capable of doing so.
They're at home too.
Yeah, again, and that's another. I think the Lions. Watch what the Lions did last year. I don't remember a lot of times the Lions just got blown out of the water. They didn't lose a lot of games by a touchdown plus. I mean, I know they're only this is a betting thing, but like -4, that'd be plus. The Lions at +4.
Yeah,
that's be sneaky.
So another matchup I also highlighted, and it's because I'm interested mainly in one of the teams, and the second team I kind of interested in, which is the Patriots at the Dolphins.
Yeah.
I want to know what the Dolphins are going to look like.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everyone's been dogging Tua all offseason, and all the hype coming out, Tyreek Hill calling him the most accurate quarterback. All of these QB gurus saying that Tua looks incredible. Let's see it. I'm excited to see it. I want to know what Tua looks like. They improved that offensive line. They added Tyreek Hill. They added all of these weapons. Let's see it come together, especially against Bill Belichick. And then I'm also interested in seeing, what do the Patriots look like? What does Mac Jones look like in year 2? Mac Jones showed a lot in year 1, but a lot of people say he already reached the ceiling. I don't think that's true, so I'm interested to see what the next step is for him.
Yeah, I'll say one game too that I'm just intrigued for just because of the quarterbacks. No one else in America will probably care about this game. I'm probably lying to myself a little bit about how much I care about it. Jaguars and Commanders.
Really?
I think again, I still beat the drum. I think Trevor Lawrence is a generational quarterback. I hope this first game starts to show a little bit more of that. And in some ways, I think Carson Wentz has become so slandered that he's a little bit underrated. I don't think Carson Wentz is as bad as people make him out to be. He's not terrible. He has special moments.
I mean, yes, but when your season is on the line and you have to beat either the Raiders or the Jaguars in 2 consecutive weeks and you lose to both and turn the ball over 6 times combined,
It's
I
tough.
think
I get it. I know. Let's just see what he has in Washington. Let's just see what he has at Command.
with Scary Terry, I'm excited to see Scary Terry, Curtis Samuel. They got Jadon Jots. There we go. They got some pieces. They got some pieces for sure.
I would say that's probably the best weapons he's had of his career, almost. Maybe except for the one year.
Not the Eagles.
Yeah, the Eagles MVP season. Yeah, with Aguilar. Not Aguilar, but was it also Jeffrey Ertz?
Yeah, they had a lot of good pieces there.
Yeah, but it should be an interesting game. I'll be just checking on the quarterbacks there, seeing how Trevor Lawrence is doing.
Yeah, and the one, which is probably the most hyped game of the week, besides for this start, you got to be excited about is Bucks Dallas.
Yeah, Bucks and Dallas will be fun.
Tampa's gonna come out and stomp Dallas, but it'll be fun.
No, it'll be a good game. There's a lot of fun. I mean, just rejoice, people. Football's back, for Christ's sake.
Football's back. But I will say one thing you can learn about me is I am not one who really cares about like QB revenge games or whatever. I do not care about Baker coming back to Cleveland on Carolina. That is not interesting to me. I do not really care about Russ coming back to Seattle.
No.
Mainly because if those teams were good, like if Jimmy G actually went to Seattle, maybe then I would care like when he comes back to San Francisco, because at least then they're playing a good team.
Yeah.
It's just I know like the Panthers are going to beat the Browns with the Browns starting Jacoby Brissett. Like
I don't know why Browns fans think Jacoby Brissett is like so I saw like one dude tweet out like, oh, Jacoby Brissett like had a PFF rating of like 80 when under pressure, best in the NFL. Well, it's because he started like 4 games. So, just someone posted, I think it was like Mary Kay Bott, who works for the Browns, like posted a video of like just a practice throw where he wildly underthrows Anthony Schwartz. And I'm like, in a game that's picked off and Schwartz is dead. So,
I don't get the hype of Cleveland. I get that they're gonna have Deshaun Watson at some point, but
they'll be 2-8 by the time Watson gets back.
They're going to be really bad, in my opinion. I've heard plenty of arguments that, like, oh, they're going to be really bad to start, but then when Watson, they could legitimately win all the games and make the playoffs.
It'll be over when Watson's back. They'll be done when Watson's back.
They're going to be done.
Because guess what? You guys is like Nick Chubb. Teams will load the box and say, please make Jacoby Brissett throw it. Please.
Well, especially because, like, I don't even think those receiving weapons are that impressive. No. Like, Amari Cooper is good, but then we're talking about Anthony Schwartz, Donovan Peoples-Jones. Like, am I really that threatened by this?
No one is.
David Njoku? Come on.
Like, that's the thing. I mean, we talked about this a while back. They are an Amari Cooper injury away from being the worst wide receiver room in the NFL, and it wouldn't even be close.
It wouldn't even be close.
No. Because you'd have that and Jacoby Brissett throwing the ball. So, yeah, no.
It would just be bad. Like, the only reason that people try to make arguments that Green Bay won't be that bad is because Aaron Rodgers is throwing it. But we're going to have Jacoby Brissett there.
Yeah, you're going to have Jacoby Brissett and a bunch of just really bad and then just like a solid wide receiver as your number one.
And I don't know how good Amari is at this point, honestly, in his stage of his career.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I mean, we'll see in Cleveland, but
yeah.
You have anything else you want to say before the start of week 1?
I have nothing on my mind. I'm just waiting and excited for week 1 to be officially
Football's
on
back.
And back.
Football's back. So make sure you follow us on Instagram. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. Make sure you follow us on TikTok. Thank you for all the love we've been getting on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, our reels are going insane over there. We've had 100K videos, one that just hit 200K, and it keeps climbing. Who knows? Maybe it'll eventually reach the pinnacle of what our Dodgers video is over on TikTok. That'd be kind of crazy.
Would love to see it.
Thanks for all the love on YouTube. Thanks for coming into the stream. We had like 10 people in here. Doesn't seem like a big number, but to come watch us live stream, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So keep it up. And Leland, thank you so much for being in here every day.
Appreciate
it means the world to Clark does. Make sure to go join the chalkboard. The chalkboard is a ton of fun. We want to continue to post in there. We're going to get more creative. I think we might move start bench cut over there and post one a day.
Yep.
So we'll see how it goes. And then, yeah, subscribe to us on YouTube, like the video. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Appreciate it, guys.